Hello YouTube fan. Hello YouTube fans. This is AI Champ 08 here. Good to see that you guys were enjoying the pre-finale review from yesterday, and I hope you enjoy this finale review that I am now posting today. Just a little recap on last night's episode, last night's finale. Just a little recap of the teams that of where they placed, who won the race, and how they did throughout the tasks. So let's start with the first. Let's skip all the crap and let's get started with this. Yeah. So we started with the first leg of the race, which had the four teams heading out of Scotland and by boat to Belfast in Northern Ireland. Very interesting. Very interesting. Once they got there, they headed to Peatlands Park, where they encountered a very interesting roadblock, which involved having to bog snorkel, which was basically swimming across a long bog, which whoever doesn't know what a bog is, basically is like sort of like a swamp river, sort of. So one contestant from each team had to swim across a bog. It seems like it's very easy if you're a strong swimmer, but it seems like that Mona had a hard time with it, which I was very surprised. You think with sports experience, she'd be very strong. She'd be able to get through that very easily. And I was surprised with Jennifer that I just really don't understand what gave her the idea that she was supposed to climb over the the boarding at the other side at first. Luckily, they told her not to do that the second time around, so she was able to get it done. Though contemplating quitting, I don't blame her. It's a hard thing, but you know what? You got to get down there and do it, because this is for $1 million here. And then once the teams finished that, they headed to the Beacon of Hope. And yeah, basically they found a giant with a ring, which Caroline and Jennifer got lost trying to find, because they were told to go to the giant with a ring. Once they got to the thing with a ring, they did encounter a detour, which was basically tray it or spray it. Tray it involved figuring out a five course meal for a different tables for a given table, and basically serving the courses that were needed to each table. Now, you'd think it was as easy as it looks, but basically there were two different lists. So basically, you got one thing which was your table, and it would say certain courses that were actually supposed to be given to them. And personally, it seems like some of the teams actually thought that was the 5 courses, when in reality there was a menu that some teams missed, namely Mona and Beth. Big time missed that one, and it took them a while to really get their knowledge around that. Bates and Anthony missed it a bit too, but they managed to get it. Max and Katie were fairly quick out of it. And Caroline and Jennifer were the only team to take Spray It, which was basically going to what looked like a skate park located in a warehouse, where they had to spray graffiti paint in a pattern on a picture given to them, and they had to make it exactly as it was shown. And it looks like that was probably a lot faster, because they made up a lot of time on that detour on Mona and Beth. And then after they completed that detour, they had to head to the pit stop, which was at Ulster Hall. Now at Ulster Hall, on the way to Ulster Hall, it seems like Max and Katie were fairly slow getting there because Bates and Anthony, even though they left a while after them, managed to spot them while running to the pit stop. Basically ended up being a foot race, but Max and Katie still managed to beat them by just a little bit and managed to get their third first place finish in a row. Woo! Bates and Anthony finished second, but you know what? It's good to have that positioning going into the final leg because at least you have that close finish. It's very easy to catch up. Then it basically came down to Caroline, Jennifer, Mona, and Beth. Mona and Beth took a long while to finish their detour after not noticing the menu that had the specific courses at the tray at detour. So Caroline and Jennifer managed to make up a lot of time on them through that, but unfortunately for Caroline and Jennifer, it still wasn't quite enough because they were eliminated still, because Mona and Beth managed to finish team number 3. It's unfortunate, but you know what? The chances of Bates and Anthony and Caroline and Jennifer getting into the final 3 together, I think anybody can say that was kind of slim. Alright, so now that we're done that leg of the race, we're going to move on to the final leg of the race. Woo! So first thing, when they started the leg of the race, they didn't know quite what the final destination city was, unlike how they would normally know. So how to figure that out, they had to first head by boat to Liverpool and then head from there to London, England, and find the place called the Euston Tap, which was basically a bar, and they had to order a pint of beer. And they would get their clue with that. The clue would then send them to what was their final destination city, which was the capital of the USA, Washington, D.C. This one actually gave us quite a bit of a flashback to, for anybody that watched Season 8 of The Amazing Race, the Family Edition, this will give you quite a bit of a flashback in this one. So the Lincoln Memorial, they went to the Lincoln Memorial, which I'm pretty sure was one of the places that they went to in Season 8. Then after they got their clue at Lincoln Memorial, where they stood right where Martin Luther King spoke his "I Have a Dream" speech, they headed to 1100 Pennsylvania Avenue, where all the teams thought they were going to meet with the president, when in reality, they were just taking a picture that was going to be edited to make it look like they met with the president. So then, after they got the picture, they headed to another destination that was definitely familiar to the Family Edition, which was the Tidal Basin. And they got a briefcase and had a switchback roadblock that was familiar from the Family Edition, which actually I was pretty ecstatic to see that because it was pretty cool to see it. If anybody remembers the roadblock where someone had to say the sky is blue and they had to find someone that would say the sea is green, this was something like that, but all teams got different sayings. Max getting his saying, which was, "Where can I get a good half smoke with chili?" And the person having the answer, "I heard there's a great place on U Street." It was Bates that did the roadblock, right? I'm trying to remember. I think I forgot that one, actually. Who did the roadblock? I think it was Anthony. No, I think it was Anthony. Yeah, screw it. I think it was Anthony. Because Bates did the first roadblock. So Anthony got his, which was... Was it Anthony? Yeah, I still can't remember. Screw it. So basically his saying was, I did not dress warm enough for this weather, and he had to make sure someone said, perhaps you would like to borrow my gloves. And Beth's saying was, the cherry blossoms are beautiful here in April. Well, aren't they beautiful there? I'm hoping. And then she had to have someone say, I will have to bring my mother next spring. So once they swapped the briefcases, you think it was done like you think the task was done like in the family edition, right? Wrong. Then they basically had to unlock the suitcase by putting in the numbers for their final placings in New Zealand in leg 3, Indonesia in leg 4, and Vietnam in leg 5, and their next clue would be inside after they unlocked it that way. Bates got it wrong because at first, Bates or Anthony got it wrong. It was Bates. Now I'm remembering. It was Bates. It was Bates. So he got it wrong at first because he thought the second leg was New Zealand, but he forgot that he forgot that there was 2 legs spent in French Polynesia. So basically, he put 174 at first, when in reality it was 374. So then after they completed the roadblock, they headed to Nationals Park, where one team member had to fly across on a zip line, drop a baseball, someone had to catch it. Bates and Anthony got it quickly, but Max and Katie took a while, but Mona and Beth, God, they took long. Oh my God. And then, eventually all the teams got it done. Eventually they headed to Haynes Point, where there was obviously a final memory challenge, which was basically one team member having to enter a giant ball pit to find globes marked with various countries they visited on the race. They had to find the right globe, place it in the right order from first country to last country, and basically get the clue that was hidden inside the giant globe. And then once they got the clue, they had to head to the finish line, which was at Mount Vernon. Basically, Bates and Anthony took actually a fair while to do this, but they still managed to get out of there before either of the other 2 teams arrived. Both Mona and Beth, Max and Katie actually got it done fairly quickly, but Max had to switch positions with Katie at one point because he figured Katie would be better for that, which I think was a good decision. And then the teams headed to Mount Vernon, where the winner of the Amazing Race, drumroll please, Bates and Anthony won the Amazing Race, and they won the $1 million prize. Woo! Max and Katie finished in second place, and Mona and Beth finished in third. Not hard to expect that one. Personally, if I had my final thoughts on the results, I am very happy that Bates and Anthony won. I expected it to be Max and Katie, but I wanted it to be Bates and Anthony. Just because of the fact that personally I think Max gets a little arrogant at times. So I don't like Max's arrogance personally. So I'm definitely a lot happier that Bates and Anthony won it. And you know what? Mona and Beth, I think, gave it their best shot, but I think it was clear that they were probably not going to win it. I would love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comment section below this video. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you enjoyed this season of The Amazing Race. Maybe next season I will be able to do more reviews because now I know how to use this program for the videos. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Yeah.